Yo, what's up, and welcome back to MBOP. I'm your host, Nick, and today we're going to be taking a look at Michael Knowles destroying 3 feminists. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video.
We do have a culture war for a reason, because there is enough people on this side who are like, actually, there's nothing wrong with having casual sex. Actually, there's nothing whatever about doing OnlyFans. And I think tradcons can be super happy living a tradcon life, but you guys are the ones telling us we can't be happy, and there's nobody out here on our side.
No, look, we're observing certain facts of society and mentioning them, and but also we're recognizing that the liberal view of society, that we're all just individuals and don't yuck my young man, that doesn't really work because we live in society. So I keep bringing up the trans thing because it's just the clearest example of all these different topics we're talking about. The pro-trans argument was, just let me dress up in a skirt. How does it bother you? I'm doing it in the privacy of my own home. Stop yucking my yum. Okay, fine. Okay, well, if I'm going to wear a skirt, you're going to call me Shelley. All right, Steve, I'll call you Shelley. Fine, whatever. Oh, okay, and if you're going to call me Shelley and I'm going to wear a skirt, then I'm going to go use the women's bathroom. Now, hold on, Steve. Sorry, Shelley. You can't, my daughter goes into the women's bathroom. Well, I'm a woman, and I say I'm a woman. You have no damn right to say that I'm not a woman. Well, no, I do have a right to say you're not a woman. I do have a right to suggest that you not behave like a weirdo in public. And I do have a right to say you get out of my daughter's bathroom because I've got faculties of reason and I live in society.
He ain't lying.
If men can just put on a dress and claim to be women, there will be weirdos that take advantage of laws like this to be a creep, bottom line.
But I do think we need to put more of an emphasis on okay, the moral question, whether you're a whore if you do this, that's separate from, is this good for you? Is this going to make you feel good? Is this what you really want?
Is it separate?
I think it's separate.
Why would it be separate? If morality is concerned with what is right and what is wrong, and we are rational beings that recognize that some things are better than other things, then wouldn't it stand to reason that if you do more good things and fewer bad things, if you pursue more virtue and less vice, that you would be happier and flourish?
Maybe, but is eating a donut immoral?
It depends if you've had 5 donuts already.
Well, okay, then we just have a
different,
to me, I don't think eating fast food is immoral. It may not be good for you, but it's not immoral. And there isn't this stigma associated with it where it's nobody, No,
sex is obviously, I think, even more fundamental to human nature than donuts are. And I like donuts plenty. But, sex is very, very important to human nature.
That's true.
In part because the action is what propagates the species, or in our sterile age, does not propagate the species. But, you're a trained lawyer. Passed the bar exam, and you have spoken publicly about how because you've made other career choices, you really can't work in the law.
Yeah.
A firm would fire you. So it would seem to me, putting aside the justice or injustice of that fact, that there is still a major stigma associated with sexual
But a lot of firms would actually hire me over you, probably still.
Wait, just a clarifying question. So you're thinking, broadly speaking, people will find a conservative political pundit more objectionable than
in academia.
I totally agree.
In academia, in higher education, and in corporate America, yeah.
Okay.
Keep telling yourself that, darling.
There's not a white man's chance in Harlem this corn star would get hired over him. I don't know what world she's living in.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. Tells you a lot about the society.
Yeah, you can argue that, but to say there are firms out there that would still take me over you.
But in reality, look, I mean, it's a funny line, and there is a lot of truth to that. But a lot of these videos that go viral from this show, in fact, and in the broader red pill manosphere stuff, it's women who are being shamed for their sexual behaviors. Putting the justice or injustice of that aside for a second, those videos get a lot of views. Those attitudes are still very, very prevalent. And I think it's because no amount of feminist indoctrination is going to alter basic aspects of human nature. And I think men broadly don't want their wives to be promiscuous.
And that's a fact.
And look, everybody has a past, and I think there's all sorts of redemption and repentance, and I think that can all be great. But no one, as La Rochefoucauld said, hypocrisy is the tribute vice pays to virtue. No one, I think, really deeply desires that, and I don't.
The men who watch the show are going to selection bias there because they're going to be more likely to not desire that. They're probably going to spend more time on the internet. There's all these.
It's a very popular show, though.
But this idea that men want a body count of 0 is not really replicated, I think, in normal society. That you may not, they may not you. Obviously, there's a spectrum here. Your girl doing porn is different than having 3 bodies, right? Different. There's going to be different levels of men who are okay with one and not the other.
To me, this is one of the most. Bringing it all the way back, this is one of the most evil aspects of feminism, is that a lot of the supposed feminists don't really practice what they preach. In fact, I think a lot of elite liberals don't really practice what they preach because they're more likely to get married, and they're more likely to go to some school, and
they
obviously
have less sex as well, less casual sex.
Less casual sex, and they do it. So, but the way they talk is they say, "No, man, we need total liberation. We need a revolution, man. Whatever, you know." And then, unfortunately, it's the lower socioeconomic classes who buy that garbage, and they ruin their lives.
I agree with you there. I think we need to do a better job of explaining to people, like for me, I do sex work. I don't I don't advocate for everybody to do that.
Why not?
Because I think you have to have a specific type of temperament for it. You have to be willing to understand the consequences for it. Like me, I thought about my values. I thought about who I was, and it aligned with that. If you're like 18 and you don't know what you're doing, I don't know if it's a good option for you to jump into. I don't even think it's a good option for you to jump into marriage either. You have to think about who you are and who your values are.
You want to be prepared to be married. Do you think you would come to regret doing the
Not me,
OnlyFans?
but I think some people would.
You don't think there's a chance you'll come to regret it?
No. Why would I regret it?
If, say, you wanted to get married and have kids and you found it harder to...
I don't think so, because I think that I typically like men. Like, for instance, I always tell this story. Like, before, I didn't have any social media before I started OnlyFans. And I didn't have... And, like, one guy I was on a date with was like, oh, I love that because you're not showing off your body. I just ghosted him. Like, I don't like men like that. I like men that have similar values to me, where they don't correlate modesty with morality, and that they don't really care.
So she ghosted a guy because he liked the fact she wasn't on social media showing off her body.
Are you delusional? Do you suffer from a mental illness?
As a nod to the Daily Wire and Matt Walsh, what is a woman?
You're gonna hate me for this one, Michael.
Lay it on.
But before I have Michael respond to you, I want all of you to respond. Why don't we have Pixie go, then Farah, and then Jasmine. Go ahead.
A woman is a person who acts and is perceived as our societal perception of a woman.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
That's at least half of it.
Farah?
I'd like to do more research on this topic before publicizing an opinion. Veto.
Are you serious?
Are you joking? That's really your answer?
That is my answer as of now.
Hey,
come on,
so
Farah,
even if you're not going to reason about it, let's just talk from your own personal prejudices and stuff. Come on, just between us gals.
Just between us
gals. That's
we can talk after the show.
What?
But I like to thoroughly think
even
out
Shia LaBeouf wants you to...
I like to thoroughly think out my opinions before publicizing them and platforming them.
You don't have a hunch? I bet you have a hunch of
I
what
didn't
a
say I don't
woman
have a
is.
hunch,
What's
but that
your
doesn't mean I
hunch?
want to
Come
platform
on.
my hunches.
Okay.
Let's
It's
talk
too
after
dangerous
the
to
show.
venture an answer these days. Okay.
To give a hunch?
Yeah.
I would take kind of Pixie's view. I think women can be... I don't think trans women and biological women are the same, but I don't think trans women are men either. Like, you can have an umbrella term for women and have both trans women and biological women under it without realizing that... without also saying that they're exactly the same and they have all the same issues and everything's the same.
It's totally made up. Pure fiction. We made it up. We made this one up. It's fiction. It's fiction. It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication. It never happened.
If they're neither men nor women, what are they?
They are women. I said that, but I would say they're a part of the umbrella of woman.
Okay, not a part of the umbrella of man.
They are, because they're biological men.
So they're both.
You can be a trans man or a biological man, or you can be a trans woman and a biological woman. So depending on how you're looking at it, if you're looking at biology, they're not the same.
Can you, though? Can your identity be different? Your metaphysical identity be different from
your biological
identity
can definitely be different than your social identity. Yeah.
How?
Easy. When this goes back to the whole chromosomes argument, but like, you didn't check any of our chromosomes or biology before calling us a woman, right?
No, I think there are enough indicators.
Enough indicators, but you base those indicators on like appearance. So obviously,
all
our
of my perception.
Yeah.
You look like women, you walk like women, you smell like women. I think you're women.
That's her point. It's a performance, and you're basing off
the
of
secondary
sex
characteristics is what you're basing them on, and people can change their secondary sex.
Your bodies is what I'm basing it on.
Which you can change that.
But I'm not sure that you can, actually, because I think what's here at the basis of it is a Gnostic idea that you can separate your soul and your body. And I know we don't like to use the word soul anymore, so we'll say your identity, man, or whatever, but that you can separate that from your body. And I just don't think you can. I think a woman is the sort of person who isn't a man. I think that's the basic definition of a woman.
What's a man then?
A man is the sort of person who isn't a woman.
How did you know we were women?
Because you look like women.
Okay.
And you sound like women, and when I talk to you, You give the impression that you're women.
So if a really good passing trans woman is here and you were mistaken,
then I would be mistaken, but he would not be a woman.
No, but my point is
I
that
can be mistaken on
what
rare
you're looking
occasion.
at is secondary sex characteristics, and those are things that people can
Those are the
change.
signs
So
that
to
point to the
pretend
reality
that,
of their sex.
this is all men and women, and like,
But I'm not saying the signs are synonymous with their sex. I'm saying the signs are signs, and the signs symbolize something.
But there is something to say about somebody that, like you said, walks, talks, looks like a woman, and to say that this is now 100% a man. You have to say.
No, he would be performing as a woman, and he might even fool me, depending on how much surgery he's
he would
had.
socially be a woman.
He would try to do that, but I don't think society should recognize those traits.
He would not just try. He would succeed
to the point where you don't even realize.
Usually you do realize is the thing. I know they convince themselves that they really but they, I've met plenty of transsexuals. They protest my speeches, and they usually you can tell because. Again, it gets to what we're talking about at the very top of this debate, which was the question of human nature, right? I think, me and old Uncle Aristotle believe that you're a body and a soul together. I'm not just my soul trapped in a useless body. I'm not just my body without a soul or totally separated from my soul. I think I'm a soul and a body together. So my body gives me much of my sex. To use the technical term, it's an inseparable accident of the individual. And I think that pertains to my whole person, because you can't separate those two, for the whole of my life. The liberals say that man is fundamentally an individual. The conservatives would say, no, man is a social creature. Man is a political animal. And so the irony, I think, of someone like a Gloria Steinem saying that or insinuating that we just want women to live up to their fullest potential is that the way that she and the feminists have done it is to totally erase women. And I think this goes back way further than the second wave. You sometimes hear conservatives, the squishy kind, they say, we love the feminism, but only the second wave, not the third wave, or we like the first wave, not the second, or whatever. We're on like the 10th wave now. But it's been a problem from the beginning. Even Mary Wollstonecraft, who founds feminism with the vindication of the rights of women, she writes that Providence has created men in such a way that they are more inclined to virtue and they're more endowed with virtue. And I think that's exactly what Gloria Steinem thinks, because the way that second wave feminism actually was practiced was it denied the virtues particular to women, and it said the only way to be virtuous and to flourish is to be a man. So if women want to be virtuous and flourish, they got to dress like men, and they got to have the same attitudes towards sex as men, and they got to work in the workplace exactly as men do, and they just have to pretend to be men. But I think that's very disrespectful to women and harmful to them, because if a woman tries to be a man, she's always going to fail. Just look at the Penn swim team now when the men compete against the women swimmers and defeat them. This is why some feminists wisely are turning against the transgender ideology. I think women are great, and women have a wonderful nature, and when women are fully women, they can really flourish, and when they pretend to be men, they get miserable. A lot of women, however, seem to feel not that they have the choice to go to work, but that they have to. And this is expressed in a famous study that came out of UPenn and was published by Yale in 2008, which was the paradox of declining female happiness. And I love the way this study opens up. Right in the abstract it says, despite the past 35 years, I'm paraphrasing, but despite the past 35 years showing so much marked progress and improvement in the lives of women, women's happiness, according to this meta-analysis, has declined, both absolutely and relative to men. So it's not even just that everyone got more miserable because of, a bad economy or something. Women in particular became less happy, despite all these objective improvements to their lives. So to me, the obvious rejoinder to that is, well, maybe those objective improvements, namely feminism, that's the thing that happened between 1973 and 2008, maybe that wasn't an objective good. Maybe that was just illusory.
Well, to me, the obvious rejoinder of that is that women are becoming disillusioned with the life they had prior. They're like leaving the cave, so to speak, allegorically. And also, I don't think you should use self-reported happiness as a metric of justice or any like objective good, because you can plot self-reported happiness with pretty much any variable. Like highest reported crime, violent crime in the United States, also is directly correlated to self-reported happiness. Does that mean one causes the other? No. Does that mean we should think
what do you mean by
violent
that?
crime
Highest
as a good?
violent crime is correlated.
I'm just saying in the periods of time when we've had the most violent crime in the United States, States, there's also a correlation between highest rates of self-reported happiness.
Well, not according to the survey I just cited, right? If happiness has been declining steadily, especially for women since 1973 to 2008, you had a major crime spike in the early 90s, but you didn't have a major spike in happiness. So perhaps there's some survey that you're referring to in some city somewhere,
Well,
but it wouldn't.
But also, even
pertain to
women
this.
living traditional lifestyles are seeing a downfall in happiness. So why is it that the women who are still living the type of lifestyle that you would probably prescribe to women are also having a decrease in happiness?
Also,
I'm not convinced of that.
The Institute of Family Studies did a big, and there's a lot of data out there that actually children make you less happy.
How she can even suggest that having children will make you less happy is insane. It just goes to show how skewed and backwards her worldviews are, but it's not surprising considering her line of work.
Children make you less happy. So there is this problem happening where we're like, okay, why are people less happy? But we don't know. We don't know what it is.
I'm not so sure. Again,
and then you would expect then that if you looked at the most unhappiest countries, you would expect Canada, the Nordic countries, Scandinavian countries, because they're very egalitarian, and you're not seeing that they actually have higher happiness levels.
Well,
than
they have the
do
highest
here.
rates of alcoholism in the world. You think of Denmark, Norway, Iceland in particular.
But
So I don't know how happy they are.
Congrats on making it to the end. Don't forget to hit that like button on your way out and consider subscribing if you enjoy this kind of content. Until next time, peace.